And the answer to that is no.
Well, how are you?
All right, how are you?
I am doing much better. I had a rough
Hey,
couple of
Jen.
weeks. Not gonna
Yeah,
lie. Hey, Jed. Hey, Nikki. Hey, everybody. Had a rough couple of weeks.
Nikki.
I'm not gonna lie. I ended up. I don't even know how this is possible but for everybody who's joining us right now, I ended up contracting COVID for a second time. Precisely, I can't even make this up, precisely 365 days since my last battle with COVID that happened was actually turned out to be life threatening. This time, it was not a life threatening issue. There was a couple scary days, but nonetheless, it was about a week that I was pretty rough. I had some my inhalers and stuff, and I was kind of hoping that getting it a second time would cancel out my long COVID symptoms because I'm still suffering from long COVID from the first time. No, not the case. Unfortunately, I still can't smell properly or taste properly. So it is what it is. I think that that's going to be kind of a normal thing. It's just me now. So that was my last couple of weeks. So I apologize, guys. We had to cancel the show last week. I was not up to par. But what about you? What's been going on with you?
We've just been busy. I mean, we finished our big event last night at the fort. We had 29 guests.
Wow,
32 had a good time.
amazing! That's amazing. Oh,
Yeah, I hate it. I've been running tours a long time, and I do something called the precursor of the event.
right.
I kind of go over the rules and the regs, you know.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
And hey, Judy. And it came down to, hey guys, let's respect the building. I've been handed the responsibility of a park that is managed by a city who doesn't trust many people. They
Right.
trusted us. Um, can I count on you guys to kind of do the right thing? About halfway through the tour, or halfway through the event, I get a radio call from one of my teammates saying I've got people in one particular group that just acting like total jackasses. And I go in there and I'm like, so I swap out one of the team members that are working with my son Devin,
Hmm.
and I get to be privy to this behavior of people that are supposedly adults, and they're moving articles and stuff around in the buildings, and they were doing pull-ups on the main beams of the buildings, and I'm like, so I went ahead, and,
It's
I
always
had,
somebody.
huh?
I said it's always somebody. There's always has to be somebody that wants to cause havoc. I don't understand it. I don't know why people feel justified or self entitled to that, but unfortunately, that is the case.
Yeah, yeah, honestly, it's different because I have not had a problem on a tour or an event in, I don't know, nearly 10 years. And I guess they just didn't believe me.
Hi, Brenda. Yeah.
And then I pull everybody aside, and I pulled all the clients together, all the customers together, and the groups, everything together. And my comment pretty much was, again, I've been handed a very large responsibility, and I'm not going to have people act like children. And if
Exactly.
you want to act like children, there's a playground over there. Go take yourself there. Get yourself off my property because honestly, I've rented this property and it's mine.
Right?
Um, and if you have a problem with that, we can come see each other after this conversation is done. Then you will just hobble back to your car. Um,
Oh,
I have
Richard.
no problem with
Only
any of
you.
it. I have no problem with any of it. But I was told by my wonderful cast of teammates that my New Yorker came out pretty heavy.
With you? Nah. Get the hell out of here.
Get the hell out of here! I Well, it's funny because every time I either get excited or mad, that comes out, and it came out. But the topic of tonight's show is good vibrations. That's just kind of an example of how two people can really screw up a good investigation. Their energy can throw off everything in the building, And if they don't come into it with the right intent, they can screw up everything for everybody else around them.
Right.
And that's really what they were doing, because after they left, everything changed.
Hey, Kalash. Hey,
You know,
Nikki,
so
Judy, Adam. How's it going, everybody? Thanks for joining us. No, absolutely. There's always somebody. There's always that person that wants to cause havoc, and I apologize for that. Unfortunately, it shouldn't have happened, but it did. I mean, how else do you? I think he handled it quite well, professionally. It's unfortunate that people have to do that, but you're always going to get it. So really, you nipped it in the bud. You got it done, and that's good. That's a good thing.
yeah, yeah. It just wasn't the way I wanted the night to go, but it is what it is. Um, but that just goes to show you it happens when you try to investigate. We did an investigation as a team not too long ago, and we were working with a couple, three people who just completely threw the energy off. Everything was going incredibly well, and then and it wasn't intentional. It was just the energies don't match. I'm real big on if the energies clash, we have a problem.
Right.
We have a problem. Um, I think everything a lot. I think everything revolves around the energy that's available, and if it's not good, it's not going to be accepted.
Yeah, miss you too, Ellen. Um, so guys, you probably see me on screen. I'm probably quite pixelated. I've been having a hell of a time with my internet. I apologize, guys. This is not normal. Normally, I'm quite clear. I was really hoping that because people are not spending as much time on the internet because it's such a beautiful day, that perhaps a broadband would have been a little bit better, but unfortunately it's not. So if I come in and out, again, I'm really sorry. I'm not doing it on purpose. It's just, it is what it is. I may switch to data. If you lose me, I'll come back. But it kind of is what it is. I apologize for that. So hi, Michael. I'm going to, as we talk about at the beginning of every episode, I don't have all the screens, but Richard does. If you have a specific comment for me, please put my name in it. Otherwise, I'm not ignoring your comments. I just might not be able to see them. So please bear with me. I've got multiple screens going on here. I may have to shut them down. Hi, Carmen. To maybe perhaps not be as pixelated. So please, I'm not ignoring your comments, okay?
She's just ignoring mine. It's okay.
Stop.
That's the way it happens.
So tell me, what are we discussing? What are we discussing this week?
We're discussing that. We're discussing good vibrational energy, or just good vibrations, period.
Absolutely.
It sounds like, hey, if you have
nice to meet you.
Really great equipment and you have, you could have the best equipment in the world with you. If you don't have the right energy.
Right. Agreed. Absolutely agreed.
Hi, Kimmy.
Thank you. Thank you, Kailash. Thank you so much. Guys, I am feeling much better. Again, for those of you who just popped on, last week I had COVID again for the second time. I don't want to keep bringing it up, but if people are asking what's wrong, that's what's going on. I'm back to normal, thank God. Still taking my puffers. My lungs are still not happy. However, I'm still here, so that's all that counts. Good vibrations. Good vibrations. I don't know if you guys have been experiencing this down in your neck of the woods, Richard, and for the people who are viewing, our lovely loyal viewers, chime in on this. But I can tell you, in my neck of the woods, people are hostile, people are panicked, people have short tempers and zero patience, people are done, and it's almost like the energy field is on the verge of a crescendo. Something's big's about to happen, or the bubble's about to burst, or something's going to happen. And people are waiting for this. I don't know if anybody else is experiencing this, but it's kind of like that's what's going on. People are having this issue. What has been going on in your neck of the woods? What's the vibration like there?
The populace on the whole is kind of me. I mean, we're not really hostile. We're not really, because we have a lot more freedoms right now than you guys do. There's several states, that are left that require you to be, vaccinated and masked before you walk into them. In a couple of states. Other than that, things are back to totally normal in every other state out there, pretty much. So I think what happened is that the times that we had ourselves kind of handcuffed you know, that kind of stuff, to not being able to go anywhere or do anything, that creates hostile environments, like a caged animal. You can't do that for very long before you wind up having some kind of problem.
Right?
We as humans are not designed to be kept up.
No. But it's I think it's amazing. We talk about vibrations. Everything is a vibrational frequency. Hey, Holly. Everything is a vibrational frequency. And so as a collective, in other words, a collective consciousness, a collective energy, we're all tapping into different people's energies and we're all kind of aware of everybody's energies. I think that we feed off of people way more than we realize. And I think that think of it in terms of music. When you're listening to a happy song, you tend to drive faster. When you listen to a sad song, you tend to feel the vibrations of the sad song. When you're all of these things, we're tending to kind of to fall under that.
Yeah.
And I think that doesn't just go with the vibration of how you feel about a song playing. It goes along with life. It goes along with what, on a generalism, what we're all experiencing. And I think we're at the end of our rope right now. I know that you say things have kind of gone back to normal in your neck of the woods. I'd like to think they've somewhat gone back to normal in our neck of the woods as well. But again, we're going through another COVID
Hey, Caroline.
Outpour. The hospitals are full again. We're having it's not being reported as much, but people are kind of going through that stage, right? And I think that amps everybody's energy in terms of anxiety and what's going to happen next. And, in Ontario, parts of Canada that I'm in, we've been doing lockdowns. We were locked down for many months. You weren't allowed to travel. You weren't allowed to go anywhere. It was, the grocery stores were limited capacity.
I remember you saying that. You couldn't even buy certain things at Walmart.
No, they had things blocked off. Couldn't get underwear. Like, it was a basic necessity. Yeah. So, I don't know if people are kind of apprehensive about that. All I can tell you is that lately I have felt that from people, just by walking into a grocery store, I feel people's energy. And as a psychic medium, I pick up on that anyway, but it's right it's in my face. I think we really need to work on, as individuals, we really need to work on kind of scraping that metaphorical mud off of us so that we're not carrying it. Because I think that we carry it, we start to feel it, and we start to project it kind of through assimilation of everybody else's energy. I think it's so important. That's why, when we talked about what we're going to discuss tonight, I really think it's important how to self-assess your vibrational frequency. Most people don't know what vibration they're oscillating at. A negative person doesn't necessarily know they're negative all the time, right?
Right. And they don't. When I have, like even with last night with the big event that I did with our team, there's a gathering at dinner before we do the hunt, do the event. Mm-hmm. All right, how's everybody doing? Where's everybody's head at? Everybody okay? Is everybody? You go through that process, because we had a couple of people on the team recently have a loss, and you want to make sure that they're in the right frame of mind, not just so that everyone has a good time, but more importantly, that they are not becoming paranormal fodder. Because if you're emotionally broken down, you become the target. And I've said this before, it's like, you become the weakest link because your mind is somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And that's really the challenge that a lot of people don't understand. So if you're not in a good vibrational energy level, maybe you don't need to do that investigation.
Exactly. And it takes somebody else to assess it. I think, many people are very good judges of their own character or how they're feeling, how they're feeling that day. But really, it takes sometimes an outsider to go, hey, you're not okay. You need this, or you need that, or you need to back off.
You're right, Nikki.
You need to. Case in point, I think that, your investigation last night, your public investigation, as horrible as it was that people tried to cause trouble for you, this is a wonderful example of how the universe works. Negative energy is attracted to negative energy, but it's also attracted to the positive energy that it can bring down. So anytime somebody is feeling weak, as you had said, it's gone into that energy field and it's trying to bring you down and anchor you. And I think that I hate the word evil, because that's kind of like a it's such a small word, but that negative vibration, that negative energy, I think it's always parasitic and it's always searching for its next victim. And so it latched onto those individuals last night, which in turn came into your establishment. It affected the other people in the establishment, not only the people that were investigating that establishment, but the energy and the entities and spirits in that establishment, and therefore it affected you. And you had to do what you had to do and straighten the situation, but it brought your vibration down. And I think it's so important that we really have to sit back and put bubbles around ourselves so that you dealt with it the proper way. You didn't allow it to affect your energy field. You dealt with it and you moved on. But not everybody's capable of that. I mean, think about, you've had a bad day at work and you bring it home with you, right? That's something that's very general. A lot of the bad days at work is not even your energy that you're carrying. It's somebody else's energy, but you bring it home and you own it like it's yours. I think it's so important to kind of break that down as to what we're dealing with.
Well, I think, there are a couple of things also that were said further in that particular situation last night that I was trying to do to help raise the vibration of the people that were affected by the idiot sticks, as I call them. When I had the rounding of people, not that I'm recommending you get this aggressive in events, but I looked square at the two people that were causing problems, and I said point blank, look, 72% of everybody here is a repeat customer. They come to our events because they enjoy what they get out of their value for the dollar they learn. You can go ahead and leave now and write something nasty about me on Facebook. I guarantee you, half to three quarters of people sitting right here are going to back us, because we are united in enjoying what we do. We're united in learning together. And everybody's like shaking their head, going, yeah. So to them, I did that for that reason of trying to design the resolve to support the people that were being affected, to see if I can change the mindset. And I think we did. They were all telling me and applauding us for, making them uncomfortable enough to leave. Okay. I'm good. But there are a lot of times you go to things like events or you go on investigations with people you don't know. And if you have a bad energy running behind you, you don't stop it. You don't try to change it. You may as well quit.
Yep. Nikki says, bye, Felicia. Bye, Felicia. Absolutely. See you later, alligator. Hashtag sorry, not. Yes, Adam. Adam says, we in Ontario are getting frustrated, I think, with everything in the economy, cost of living, gas prices, COVID, etc. Absolutely. Right. I think that's worldwide. I think everybody's getting tired. Everybody knows that this is, what's going on. I think people are waking up. Let's put it that way. I think people are waking up. Those who are slow to wake up are waking up and starting to realize that there's more going on. I don't want to get into politics, but, I think that we're kind of at that crescendo of what's going to happen next. And it's really frustrating, but it is what it is. As far as energy and vibrations, I think that we should maybe break down vibrations. We should kind of break down on how things work, and I not only do I want to get into like feeling good, but ways that you can heighten your vibrations through meditation, through doing things that you love, your passions. Oftentimes when people are having oppressed energy in their house, and I'll get a phone call from somebody who'll say, can you come and cleanse my house? And I've already been there. I've established that it's not a bad entity. I've established that it's really residual energy, or something bad happened in that house and it's kind of oscillating out of the walls. I'll often tell people, crank the music. Put a good song on. You had to have that good vibration song, right? Get yourself upbeat and going. Crank your tunes and dance it out, and that really kind of changes things. I use the example of a horror film. Now, I'm not a horror film friendly. That's not my idea of a good time. However, I've seen horror films. But those intense moments where you're scared, your heart's beating, things are happening quickly, you're in the moment and it's scary, 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 mute it. You watch how unscary that moment becomes. It's because you're getting put into that moment. Not only are you visually seeing energy, but you're also getting in that moment with the vibrational frequency of the type of music playing. So if you were to watch a horror film and all of a sudden, the Barney song comes on, I love you. Is it really that scary anymore? It's really
Please,
not.
please. My, my kids growing up listening to that. That's why that gives me like PTSD.
Right?
But it's
But it's
true
the
though.
bottom line, Richard. It's not scary. And that's the point I'm
Not
making. We don't
scary.
realize how
It's
much
fine.
outside influence
Yeah.
subconsciously affects our vibrational frequency.
And Nikki says, I wonder if we should get everyone to center themselves before a group investigation, as that could help change the vibrations. Yes. And let me tell you how the haunted travelers do it. We break bread together before an event or an investigation.
Right.
We bring up the spirits in ourselves. We try to raise our vibration level before we go. We always make sure we are laughing, joking, putting people in the right mindset. Because when you hit that door to go in and investigate, whatever you came in with is what you're going to work through on. And energy breeds energy. So if you go into it with, hey, we just had a great dinner, let's go, see if we can make some evidence happen and get some evidence captured, and and you get it all out through there. I mean, it comes out great. But that's how we do it. We actually will do it. Then we will go to a Waffle House after the investigation, and we will download everything and laugh and laugh and laugh some more. So that way you go home in good spirits. To me, that's just the way it works. Plus, I like food.
I have been asked, and everybody viewing, what are your thoughts on this? But I get asked this question quite frequently, actually. I don't know about you, Richard, but people will say to me, do you think that I could bring something in by watching paranormal television? Can it come through the screen, or can it? There's so many questions I get asked about this. And to generalize, quite frankly, yes, you can. Yes, you can bring something in by watching paranormal television. And it's not as cut and dry as people think it is, in my opinion, anyways. It's not like, the ghost jumps through the television and says you're mine. It's not like that.
Nope.
It's the vibrational frequency that you are oscillating at that acts as a beacon to open your consciousness up to bring these things in. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that it opens your consciousness to what was already there. You may be haunted. Your house may be haunted, your location, and you've never paid attention. But because your present consciousness, your forward consciousness, is paying attention to this and is reacting to these things, you're going to start to be self-aware of these things. So there's a couple ways that it happens, but vibrations affect absolutely everything. The table that I'm at is a vibration. The car that I drive is a vibration. Think of vibration in terms of sound. There are sound that we can't hear, but dogs can, right? It's all about vibration and how our inner ear, outer ear, all of that picks up that vibration in order to pick up the sound. So, vibration, I think, affects everything.
Yeah, it does. It does. And I'm a firm believer as well that watching the paranormal shows does open your subconscious to things that are already around you. But like you said, the things are already there. It's just now that you're opened up to it, God bless you. And you got to look at it. I've done many a residential investigation where, I've made contact one time with a spirit, and it was a lady that was there, and she was mad because the kids were watching stuff they weren't supposed to watch, and she got mad.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah. So I mean, she was just like, they don't need to be watching that. They don't need to be watching that. I'm like, oh,
right.
Okay. So I mean, it's really just kind of the tone. I mean, you've got to set the right tone in everything. I think if you want an absolutely, pain-free existence, good luck trying to get everything balanced out. But you really need to balance everything out. None of us can really operate on a 100% balance scale. It's not going to happen. Things interrupt, life interrupts, people interrupt. It'll throw you off. But if you can maintain it, I have a set of songs that I like to listen to before an investigation.
Yeah.
music is great. You brought up music earlier. Music
More,
is a
hey, Debbie.
phenomenal way to
Hey,
change
Kenny.
it.
Yeah. No, agreed. Absolutely agreed. I think it's really important to, the music. I think that's why the power of prayer, I think, and religion, religion has a real, way of kind of bringing people together and changing the vibration through prayer, through song, music, instruments, all of that stuff. And I mean, no matter what religion you decide to be a part of, if any, there's a common denominator there. It's all about changing that vibration and heightening that vibration through prayer and positivity and all of that stuff. And so, um, people who are experiencing a lot of negativity, I ask you to kind of sit back, reevaluate yourself, assess yourself, and find out what is, maybe causing this negativity, and try to source something out positively, like better music or getting out and changing the vibration. So think about like a cup. When you vibrate the table, the cup changes, the vibration changes, and the ripple effect gets wider, and the vibration slows down as the vibration gets older and older. And the same thing occurs in our body. A lot of times people use sound therapy in terms of therapy to change the vibrational frequency in your body for healing purposes. Not only does it change your emotions and your decision-making process, but it can actually, I mean, they use vibrations to kill cancer. They use vibrations to cauterize things. They use vibrations to, not only is it an energy field, but it's physical, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, for example, we were one of the buildings at the event location last night was a church. Churches, I have found over the years, tend to be the most active, or one of the most active locations you're going to find.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a gentleman there by the name of Father Patrick that's in the building. Right. And I have a REM pod rope. It's an 8-foot cable that is a REM pod or REM sensitive, electromagnetic field sensitive rope that lights up all kinds of crazy colors. And then I have a motion sensor I put in front of the pulpit facing backward to the wall. So if you were standing in the pulpit to deliver a sermon, it would go off. And we had that set up. And then we actually, the great group of people we had last night, I want to thank all of them, if any of them are on this show tonight. Thank you guys for being such great troopers. But they, with I, leading in song, sang the first verse of Amazing Grace. Then the REM rope and everything else went completely insane. So yeah, that's just kind of the attractance that music delivering that kind of good vibrational energy could impact an investigation as well. Now, am I saying do you need to sing from the hymnals every time you go somewhere? It's got one? No. What I'm saying is it worked. That's what I'm saying is it worked.
Yeah.
It's just, to me, you really need to do whatever you can to make the situation, I think, personally positive for you and your team while you're there. And believe it or not, it's going to sound wacky to some, but you need to make sure it's personally positive to the spirits. Because if your energy bleeds over to the investigation for them, the energy is going to decide whether or not if you get any evidence or not. Because I was in an investigation, just kind of let you know this. I had a person on the investigation that was this horrible energy. Horrible. And we went into this one location, a building we used to do called the Wright Hotel. And this particular room was very active audibly. There's a lot of EVPs put out of this room. We had this one person in the room with us. The minute that she walked through the doorway, and I had said on a recording, is there anything you'd like to say to us? I get it. A class EVP back says, you're not getting nothing.
Oh.
Okay. Wow. That's different. I usually get overloaded with audio, but not now. Because, that person came in and that person threw off the energy and they just didn't want to deal. I've seen it time and time again. I'm sure you have. It's if the spirit does not want to deal with you, they won't.
No.
They just
and it's
won't.
all about your vibration.
Absolutely. My team, when they get together as just a team and we do an investigation, we're loaded. We get slammed every single time. That's how you know you've got a good team. Because nothing is really putting off the vibrations to say you don't want to talk to us.
Right.
You do. You want to show up for us. We've got photographic evidence, videographic evidence of energy, and then you bring one person in
Yep.
that is just not right in their mindset and just comes in with a low vibrational energy level, and you're done. Um, so yeah, I mean, it kind of keeps on going back to that. I know, but it's the truth. You could have somebody out there literally that will kill everything you're doing. Stop it like an absolute. Somebody pull the plug. So yeah, I would agree. Music is a mood changer. Music is a vibration changer. I listen. Sometimes I will listen to very hard rock stuff to kind
Hmm.
of build my energy level up before I go in. Sometimes I'll listen to fun songs. Sometimes I'll listen to headbanging songs. But it's just kind of one of those things where I want to set my own tone, set my own mood when I get there. You know.
Yeah. Well, Judy says, great, great comment, Judy. She says, on my last investigation, I played 1800s parlor music to see if the spirits would enjoy it. And they did. So I will definitely be doing this again. How amazing is that, people? That not only did that change the vibrational frequency, but it brought and it attracted, it made them happy, and you got better results. I mean, why do you think entities are attracted to trigger objects? The whole point of the word is trigger. It triggers them. Is it the vibration? Is it the shape? Is it the color? It's the energy attached to it. That energy is a vibrational frequency, and that's where hauntings occur. That's where people are attached to that vibration. And so when I've done lots of during investigations, we've asked a lot of questions, as you have too, through EVP sessions.
Mm-hmm.
What do we appear to look like? What do you see? And a lot of them, they say we look like light. What is light? Light is a direct reflection of energy. And so they're reading that energy field and seeing it, and they're relaying it back to us. The same thing goes for music, and the same thing goes with trigger objects or any type of object. So the fact that you're able to associate that they can hear that music is amazing. That's amazing. That excites me. As you can tell, I'm quite excited about it because it just goes to show basic science principles, which I try to use in my investigations, but basic science principles work. It really works. Changing the vibration works. It's fantastic. So that's great, Judy.
It is. But be aware, though, too, it can work in the reverse. I made a mistake one time years ago. I made a mistake. Being in a museum that was Civil War related, World War II related, that kind of stuff. And I played a war clip on my audio player on my phone. Nope. It triggered activity, all right.
You were getting shot at. Next thing you know, you're feeling bullet wounds and you're feeling
pounding on stuff and all of this kind of stuff. And I'm like, wow, they just did not like us at all doing that. So it can backfire. It can backfire. Gotta be careful. But yeah, I mean, playing it too. I also do the same thing with EVPs. I'm really getting bigger on the asking them if would they like to be able to give us some advice about life? Huh?
I lost you, honey. Sorry, I lost you for a second. My internet's not the best.
No, sorry. I said I asked different questions on EVPs too, to try to
Right.
elicit a positive kind of feedback from the spirits that are in the building as well. Hey, can you tell us something that you might be able to help us while we're still living? If you would. And I've had advice given from the dead.
How cool is that?
They feel that there is a understanding and respect when you ask them for their opinion. It's really weird. I mean, it's again same thing with a person. If you just talk around a person, they're going to eventually think you're a jerk, and I want nothing to do with you. But if you talk to a person like they're your best friend sitting in front of you, that changes everything too. But you know me, I'm an audio guy.
Absolutely. And it goes to vibrations. It's amazing how an entity can manipulate a vibration, because they don't have a voice box to say it. They're able to manipulate the vibration to bring it in to create that voice box sound. And so much so that they can create the voice that they had when they were living. As you know, everybody's voice box is different. I sound different than you. You sound different than, she and he and they. And they're still able to use that vibrational frequency, tap into that frequency to make it sound like as if they were living.
Yeah.
I mean, we could go so in depth with vibration, but I think it's really important, everybody, that you really kind of self-evaluate when you're walking into any location. And it doesn't have to be a paranormal investigation. It can be your work. There are certain locations that I've gone into, hospitals, for example. Yes, lots of bad things happen in hospitals, but there's lots of wonderful things that happen in hospitals too. Many people are saved. Many children are born. It's not always a negative thing, but there's certain wings of a hospital, or there's certain areas that are negative. And that's the vibration that is being transmitted into the walls that are being held. And it goes to show with your work environment. It goes to show with getting into a car. Once you attune yourself to these vibrations, I really am a firm believer that we all have psychic abilities to a certain degree, and we can all pick up on it. It's whether you're cognizant of it. And I think it's so important that we really become self-aware of what's really causing our anxiety, our paranoia, our anger, our changes in mood, our happy, sad. We really got to pay attention to it, because I think 90% of what we're picking up on isn't even ours. After I do a psychic reading, for example, I have to kind of shimmy it off. I got to shake it off and kind of move on to the next one. I can't go from reading to reading to reading. I have to leave at least a half an hour for me to cleanse or get rid of the juju that I had with that individual. And it doesn't have to be bad, but get rid of the residual energy that I'm carrying to be able to have a clean sweep with somebody else. And the same goes for an investigation. Multiple buildings, and this will be something that you can answer, Richard. Do you find investigating multiple buildings? So oftentimes down in your neck of the woods, they'll have buildings that'll come in, and they're kind of like, for example, here in where we're located, there's a haunted location that has multiple buildings that have been brought in as a museum. So a church was brought in from a location, a schoolhouse was brought in from a location, a meat shop was brought in, and it's kind of brought in as an outdoor museum. Do you find, going from one location to the other, because they originally were in different areas, that you bleed one energy to the other? So in other words, do you find that an entity that was, occupied the dance hall is now in, I don't know, the schoolhouse?
Oh yeah. I mean, if they're not, I call it assigned, I don't call it stuck, but if they aren't assigned to that building, if that energy isn't locked to that building, oh yeah. I've caught EVPs, and when we did the Wright Hotel, for example, in the Chatsworth Depot, the Chatsworth Depot was not its original location when we got it. It was moved.
Right.
But yet, a spirit from the Wright Hotel followed us to the Chatsworth Depot because they were enjoying the interaction. And last night, my God, we had 7 buildings. And yeah, I know we were followed. I could feel it. It's just, it's a weird, because you think every building's going to have different energy. Most of the time it does. But, oh yeah, I'm a firm believer that they can follow you from one location to another. Yeah, I believe they can. I don't believe it happens 100% of the time, but I believe it happens.
I think the same goes for attachments. I think that's, they associate with your vibration. There's something about your vibration that they like, hence why they attach to you, good or for bad. Yeah. And, they resonate with it. There was a situation where I had dealt with a spirit of a child. And the child, I think not only because I am a mother, but because I looked similar and had a similar characteristic in terms of vibration as this child's mother, this kid latched on to me hard. And I had to, really kind of, I hate the word shake it off, but I had to explain to this child that I'm not its mother. You know, and that you know, I kind of had to move on. And once I explained that the child had passed, and you know, it's the mother's looking for her on the other side, this child was able to transition, and the mother was so grateful to me that I was able to do it. And all I did was kind of awaken and change that vibration to help that child move on. And I think that a lot of times that's why attachments occur to locations, to is because it feels familiar. It's something that they resonate with, pardon the pun, and they're able to kind of identify. And that's why we get a lot of the hauntings that we do. And I think that that's why a lot of people kind of develop the attitudes and emotions that they do. Somebody's always grouchy or somebody's always depressed because it's something that you're aware of. It's something that you're comfortable with. You know, I don't think anybody starts out life wanting to be grouchy or wanting to have a bad attitude, but that becomes comfortable, and it's something they resonate with well, and it's something that they oscillate at the vibration, and it's hard to get out of that vibration because of it.
Well, I think, you know, I think I've had to explain to people, like, spirits being on different levels and not being able to see each other. Okay?
Yes.
So there's a scenario there. But the one too, you know, when you talk to somebody that's having a paranormal issue, like well, I don't know, why would a 79-year-old entity be attached to my 5-year-old child? Well, let me explain to you. Remember back in the day, if you're old enough to remember, they used to have something called algorithm machines. They used to have them in restaurants. It was kind of for entertainment. You put a quarter in and you select stupid material, and it prints out an algorithm. There's truth behind that to a degree, I believe. I think that there's a metaphysical algorithm that we have that matches with certain spirit activity. And those spirits are attached to us because the algorithms are the same. And when something changes that algorithm, they move on. But I think that a lot of people just don't understand that part. It is the vibration or the algorithm is what is attaching that person to you. If it was an uncomfortable situation for that spirit to be there, they wouldn't be there. But there's something that attaches them vibrationally to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's trying to get people to understand that.
Absolutely. Does anybody have any questions about this? We're not getting a lot of questions tonight.
We got a ton of questions tonight so far.
We did get a ton of questions? Sorry.
No, we haven't gotten a ton of questions so
far. No, I'm surprised. As far as cleansings, we talk about cleansings quite a bit, you know, cleansing your energies being, I think, the most important thing. I wanted to kind of get into curses too. I wanted to get into curses a little bit because a lot about, you know, family curse, generational curse. I feel like somebody did black, you know, magic on me, or curses. And as all things go, curses are vibrational. And if you feel that this curse is going to be causing you havoc, if you feel, and this goes to the law of attraction, this goes to, there's so many things that energy encompasses, everything, quite frankly. Even down to I don't want to call it a basic curse, but even down to, you know, somebody feeling that they're being cursed. The minute that you change your vibration and you say, I'm no longer accepting this, it's no longer allowed to be in my energy field, it's no longer, it can harbor, hurt, hinder me, that curse is broken. People don't realize that it's not that, I don't want to say it's that simple that you just shut it off, because sometimes it takes multiple cleansings. But what it doesn't have the oomph, it doesn't have the power that it did when it was bullying you, essentially. And that's the first step to getting rid of these curses, is changing the vibrational frequency, acknowledging it's there, not allowing it to affect you anymore. And that's kind of how it starts to slow itself down.
Well, I agree with that. And I think too that the one thing I believe, and then people can argue the point with me all they want to, poltergeist activity. A lot of that, because poltergeist activity is derived from the human living being.
Right.
Okay. I think for people to try to understand that you cannot eliminate that or decrease that unless the essence of the person that has got it, that created it, changes. So unless that person doesn't change the essence of who they are, changes their vibrational energy, you're not getting rid of that poltergeist.
Right.
Because it's your daughter.
And that's exactly But that's precisely that's such a good point, Richard, because poltergeist activity is an uneven amount of energy. It's like a rubber ball in a room. It's not necessarily an entity. It's the person living that's unbalanced, as you're saying, Richard. So it's a perfect example of how energy works and how if you shift that energy, if you balance that energy, you're going to start to even things out, and you're not going to be receiving that kind of rubber ball or rubber band effect.
Exactly. Now, Mario has said, do you believe that lost spirit is more dependent upon physical existence I mean, if you're talking about for energy to survive, to thrive, every spirit is. They live and they operate off of thermal energy. So what happens is when you get scared, your heart rate goes up, your blood pressure goes up, and you give out thermal heat. Thermal heat is what they absorb. The thermal energy is what they absorb. As far as needing to be more on the physical plane, I don't think so. I've dealt with the different or the multiple level existence of spirits in one building. Like I said, where there was a mother and a child trying to find the mother, they're on different levels, and if they're on different levels, it's hard to break that barrier. You really you really have a hard time trying to do that correctly. But I don't. Do you believe that the lost spirit is going to be more dependent upon physical existence than
So
anything?
I think, hey Carolyn, I think that yes, I do think that there is attraction to there is an attraction to uh, the old life. Yes. But what is it about that old life that somebody is attracted to? Why does somebody have a favorite color? What attracts them to that? Or a favorite number, or a favorite restaurant, or a favorite? Is it just the food at the restaurant, or is it the ambiance? Is it the energy? Is it the feeling you get when you sit down at that place? Right? It goes down to people have a favorite chair on a bus, or people have a favorite. What is it about it? Is it the location? Is it something really physical? Or does it come down to how you vibrationally resonate in that location? And I think that that's what happens with entities. Yes, they're going to want to go home to where they lived, or they died after 50 years of living in that location, but it's because of the energy that they received while they were in that location. So it's not necessarily about the physical existence, but it's the resonation of how they're feeling in that location, which goes back to vibrations. Okay, why do certain people like country music and certain people don't? If you were to break it down, what is it about it? Is it the twang? Is it the why would somebody choose heavy metal? It's all about the vibrational frequency and what your body resonates with, and it goes down to the basic principles of even a haunting, as you said, that thermal energy, the vibrational frequency at to which the entity resonates with.
Right. I totally agree. Nikki says, can you discuss how folks can recharge their own energy and vibrations when they become unhinged? Which is something we've talked about a lot on the shows, how to recharge yourself. My short trucker version of this is very simple. Um, I'm a big guy on running water. Streams, sit in front of them, take your socks and shoes off, stand on the ground, chill the hell out for about a good 15, 20 minutes, and recharge. If here's like, well, what if I don't have a running stream near me? Well, that's a little tough to think you don't. But I would tell you, if you ever find a place, and I go back to nature all the time, but if you ever find a place in nature that you're in and standing and you just, man, this feels good, stay there. Give that a good 15, 20 minutes. Stay there. Yeah. Because that's a neutralizing energy, and that's a place where you can recharge yourself. And there's a lot of that. I have seen it to where the vibrations were separated by water at a location that had an underground river that ran through the building. And literally, this is over here, this section over here, recharge neutral. Go across the other side of the stream, nasty and negative. And that's
Never
how
cross
the
the
water
stream,
actually
Richard.
never across the streams. But that is how that particular building and location went. So you want to feel better after you go over to the dark side. You come on over the stream and you go into this cavern and just stay there and chill out. So
Yeah.
that to me is what changes it too.
Mm-hmm. I tell people, what makes you happy? What makes you happy? When you're happy, you want to jump around, you have energy, you're excited, you have enthusiasm, right? That makes you happy. Now, do you have enthusiasm and want to jump around when you're sad or depressed or angry? No. The vibrational frequency changes when it makes you happy. And so you have to find a passion. And a lot of people have mundane lives or mundane jobs, and they've lost that passion. And I encourage people to find a passion again. The running water is going to give you a jump start. So think of running water or think of a natural element as a battery booster. So it's kind of giving you the extra oomph of shifting your energy. Okay, it's literally kind of stomping and changing the water in the cup. But if you can't get to a stream, if you can't get to those certain places, as I say, dance it out, get happy. For me, I'm a horse person. I love horses. I ride horses. This is what I do. That is my island. I can't go to Tahiti and sip on cocktails. Lord knows, can't afford it. But I can go to my island, my horse, and nothing else matters in that moment. I'm in my present consciousness, and I'm in that moment with my horse, riding him, brushing him, giving his nose kisses, whatever it is. The people have to find that. Not everybody's going to have the same passion. But if you can get to that happy place and change that vibration, you're going to be able to walk away a little bit happy. Now, if you start to pay attention to how long you find that your day-to-day activities are the mundane feeling, that depressive feeling, that the vibrational frequency goes, that's kind of dependent upon how much you should go to your island or your happy place. A perfect example: people who work at funeral homes are some of the happiest people I've ever met in my life. Okay, they're not ERs, they're not depressive, they're not angry, they don't go home and sit in silence because they had to prepare a body for the day. They understand the energy, it's their passion. And if having a service for somebody else or preparing a dead loved one for someone else, put somebody else at ease and give somebody else closure, that's their passion. I've met a mortician that was the most passionate person I've ever met in my life. And she was so happy to be able to give this closure to people. And it's kind of a morbid way of looking at things, but that was her passion. And she was a happy-go-lucky person, and luck was on her side, and she was healthy and happy. It doesn't always have to be your stereotypical happy places that you need to go, but it's what makes you passionate about something. Paranormal investigations is a passion of mine. I love paranormal investigating. Yes, I go to some of the most haunted locations. Yes, I go to some of the most evil locations. Yes, I've dealt with very malevolent energies. Does that bring my vibration down? Maybe for a minute, but I leave feeling exhilarated. I leave feeling happy. Now, there's another thing. When your body calibrates with a specific energy, you'll find, and this is a really bad example, but alcohol tolerance. It's the only thing I can think of, okay? Alcohol tolerance in people. As you know, people who drink a lot build up their alcohol tolerance, and they need more alcohol in order to get the same feeling. The same thing occurs to vibration. And that's why going back to water, going back to, a place to recalibrate is so important, to bring things back down so you don't need that much more. People who like to jump out of airplanes or like to have that adrenaline rush, you'll find they're looking for a bigger vibrational frequency in order to have that emotional expulsion, okay? And this is where I encourage you, if you're starting to get to this, you need to kind of recalibrate. There are specific television shows, and I'm not going to name names, that only deal with demonic entities, and they go in for the worst of the worst of the worst. Not only are they looking for television ratings, which that's why they're a television show. I'm not knocking that. That's part of entertainment. But I really feel like because these people have gone to so many locations, that kind of tolerance in terms of vibration is not making them happy anymore. And they want that much more. They need that much more. And so anybody who's looking just for the evil, in my opinion, is being affected by the vibration, and they need to recalibrate. What do you think?
No, I think so. I think once in a while, I used to call it check yourself or you wreck yourself.
Yep.
That's really what I used to call it. Now, Nikki says, same with being aware of not taking others' energy to rebuild your own without realizing it. What can we look for, or can we set our own personal alarms or red flags if we start to do that? I honestly don't know the way you can set your own alarm saying you're taking someone's energy. I don't think you can. I think you have to be more cognizant of how you're affecting them, and that would be a red flag.
Physical manifestations of emotional events, emotional trauma, or vibrational frequencies often happen. So when I do readings for people and I immediately pick up, for example, your chakras, okay? And chakras is kind of a fortune tellery word. It's but we all have outlets of energy sources in our body. So there's the crown, the head, the throat, the heart, the root. It goes all the way down. And sometimes that kind of gets stifled. And when I'm doing a reading for somebody, if I find, if I'm picking up a thyroid issue, for example, that individual not only is having a physical manifestation of something happening, but they're not able to speak up or speak their truth or speak their emotions or speak through things. That vibrational frequency of that wall up is physically manifesting and affecting their thyroid. Oftentimes heart problems can manifest into physical problems. So it can be, you're having actual heart attack, heart cardiac arrest, heart issues. And a lot of times these people for many years suffered something emotional in terms of a vibration or a frequency that they were omitting that caused that physical manifestation. So ask yourself, are you having digestive issues? Are you having thyroid issues? What would be causing that physical manifestation? And it really tends to go back to a vibrational frequency of an emotional event. There's a type of massage that's called myofascial massage, and there's a massage therapist who basically associated our muscle memory, our muscles hold energy, and you can release that tension, you can release that energy through a myofascial massage. I'm not an expert. I've had those massages before, and let me tell you, it changes the chemical it changes the things in your brain, and you walk out of there feeling different than a normal massage. So I think that there's truth to it.
Well, I'm not sure I want that. I have a problem with people touching me anyway. So,
really?
Huh?
I said, really?
Yeah. I mean, if I don't know the person, no, no. I am a huggy guy because that's the way I believe people want me to be. But I am not real big on strangers putting their hands on me. Nope. Nope. That's a nope. It's immediate no.
Yeah.
Immediate.
Sorry,
no.
You're breaking up, Richard.
That's right. It's immediate no for me, so I won't do it.
Okay.
Can't. Now, Francine said, if you have a strong belief in the afterlife, is it more likely to ease your transition? Yes. Here's the thing. Death is super freaking scary because a lot of people don't know anything about it. And it's the fear of the unknown that makes things worse. It's the same thing with paranormal activity. I couldn't tell you how many investigations I've done because people are like, oh, this does this and this does that. And all of a sudden they found out it's Uncle Joe and Aunt Mabel. And then they're like, oh. Yeah. Oh.
Right. And it's not so scary anymore. You've removed that, the scariness of it, the unknown. Richard, you had a really, really great, you're nailing these points tonight, buddy. Like, amazing. You had talked to, we were talking about having the myofascial massage and different energy work being done and how you're not comfortable with a stranger. Even if you're comfortable with this, even if you're comfortable getting these things done, every time somebody puts their hands on you, whether it's a hairdresser, whether it's a chiropractor, whether it's a doctor, the list goes on and on. You're picking up part of their energy. Okay. They're using some of their energy source and giving it to you. And, I've had people come to me and they've said to me, I had Reiki, but I felt depressed after, and Reiki is a specific type of energy work or energy healing. And there's many different forms. I don't like to name names, but they've had energy work done and they'll say to me, man, I had nightmares that night, or it was really bad, or, she touched me or he touched me and I felt a jolt of electricity. I wasn't comfortable with it. You are picking up on their vibration. And it's really important. As an energy worker myself, I know my limits, and it took me a long time to understand my limits. Okay. If I've had a bad day, I mean, I've been okay to do to work for the last couple days. I have not pushed myself because I know, because I was sick,
Right.
it's not fair to the person I'm reading because I'm pushing energy onto them. I know it's not fair to them because of my vibration was low from being ill, and it's all not fair to me that I'm opening my vulnerability to the low vibration that they could potentially be giving to me. And it's so important. If you feel bad after you've had energy work done or you've had a reading or whatever, people will go, oh, I'm never going back there again, unless it was a physical bad experience for you, like they were rude or they were, but if you just walked away and you felt, give them a second chance, because sometimes people, it could have been the last client they couldn't cleanse, it could have been they were having a bad day or they're feeling sick. It's not necessarily always their fault or they're conscious of what happened. But if you go a couple times and you get this energy work done, you're not oscillating with their frequency. And it's important that you have to find somebody that you can kind of align with in order to get this done. And the same thing goes with a piece of equipment that you're using. The same thing goes with, if it doesn't feel right, if you're driving a car and it doesn't feel right to you, it may feel good for one person and not for another. It's important to have an alignment with your energy field. And I think that, you play it safer that way.
Yeah, honestly, years ago, I didn't really understand, and I know why I don't want people to touch me, because I don't want no offense, I don't want their crap to drag on me. But back years ago, I didn't understand it. So to me, it was just kind of one of those, I'm a cop, don't touch me. That's, and it's just kind of the way I preserved my personal 3-foot distance, was because if you got that close to me and you touched me, I don't like that at all. And it's just now I understand why I didn't like it at all. But back then it was because I was on a job where you don't trust people. You just don't.
Right.
And, somebody getting that close, how close are they? How close are they to your weapon? How close are they to, you've got to be aware of all of this. So, yeah. So I still don't have a huge trust for people. But I understand why I'm a little more opposed to contact. It similarly goes to, I don't like doing conventions, because I have walked out of conventions with the friggin' paranormal hangover from hell. Because I'm sitting there going, why? And why? My God. And you get to a point where you're just like, I don't want this. I don't want to become everybody else's dumpster for their bad energy. I don't want to do that. So I just don't do conventions. I won't do them.
Yeah.
I've not been asked in a while, probably because the last couple of times I was asked, I went, no. But it's just the way it goes. But now I understand that part of it anyway.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Nikki. Let me see. Well, I've been told by my better half that my hair looks fine. Stop playing with it.
I didn't notice. I didn't notice you were playing with it. Sorry, I was all up in my energy field. You'll notice too. So energy. Okay, so vibration doesn't necessarily have to come in a form of like a wavelength. Okay, we think of wavelength. Vibrational frequencies can come in colors. It can come in crystals. So as you can see behind me, everybody. Oh, I got a million crystals here, and all the crystals have different vibrations. Okay, and they're utilized for different things and different purposes. Think of different colors. Think of, what is a calming effect to you? What gives you that calming effect? It's a vibration that's reflecting in your eye that you're seeing that has the calming effect. Why is running water, the sound of running water, calming? Why is, to some people, listening to heavy metal is calming to them. It doesn't necessarily have to be something calm. My salt lamps, okay? Salt lamps give off a vibration, and that's why we use them. They deionize ions. They bring in positive energy. They repel negative energy. It's the vibration of the heat that comes through the salt that helps to change the vibration. So, I mean, I could go on for hours about different things that you can utilize to try and change the vibration of frequency. But Nikki, you had asked earlier, this is a really great way of doing it, using your different crystals. Now, a lot of these different crystals that I use, and we're going to do a crystal episode. Richard and I have talked about it. But a lot of the crystals that you use, depending on what they are, is what you use them for. Because of the vibration that they have. And it's not necessarily just the color, it's the vibration.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, for example, everybody on my team, I think pretty much everybody now has a Super 7 stone that they bring with them everywhere they go. I've gotten some on for people for necklaces, and and they wear them on every occasion they can. I mean, it's and it's all because of that woman right there.
Yeah.
That I even have a Super 7 stone. So,
right.
Yeah, I carry one in my pocket. My daughter carries one in her pocket. My friend, our teammate, carries one around her neck. So does her son. Lori carries one around her neck. It's if you have something that you feel is going to make a difference, why not utilize it?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yep. It's the active intent, it's the active emotion, it's the active that changes your vibration, right? What is confidence? Confidence is a vibration. That's what it is. Confidence is a vibration. Depression is a vibration. Anger is a vibration. So it's really changing that vibrational frequency of what you think, of what you feel, of what makes you happy, of what makes you sad, really identifying that. And I think that once you can be self-aware in that respect, and kind of when you're self-aware, I think that's when you're going to be able to witness and be able to recharge and change that much easier. It takes time. It's not something that just happens. It's not something that you're just going to be able to pick up on right away. But I think that when people are self-aware of what's happening to them or how their body's reacting to something, you know that when you're sad, how your body feels, or when you get startled or when you get scared, you know that emotional change, that shift. Once you start paying attention to that, you're going to start to pick up the frequencies. And I think we are finely tuned because of what we do. We're able to pick up on that much more. So when we go to a haunted location, we're finally tuned into that and we can pick it up faster. But I encourage everybody to practice. If you want to, heighten your psychic abilities, it all starts with the vibrations. How does it make you feel? Do you feel happy? Do you feel scared? That's a vibration.
Yep, it sure is. And the one thing I will tell you that we haven't mentioned, and I'm surprised I haven't mentioned because I have a million times before, get out of the location you're in. If you feel your vibration is not running properly, get the hell out of the location you're in.
Right.
So you can learn how to separate yourself from that energy. You're not going to be able to recover. And if you step outside for a good 15, 20 minutes. Who cares? Where are they going?
Absolutely.
They're still going to be in those buildings when you're done with your break. But if you don't separate and give yourself the breathing room, you're taking a real chance on your own health.
Right.
Step outside. Step outside. I know when we do our events and our tours, we mandatory will take breaks. Yes, it was god awful hot last night because when we got to the buildings, they were like 95 degrees. But you investigate a little bit, you get out. You investigate a little bit, you get out. Because as your body, the heat starts to break down and get tired, your defense mechanisms start getting lowered. So you have to, again, step outside, regain your composure, regain your strength, go into another building. But I'm real big on separating yourself from the activity. There's no question in my mind you need to do that.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed.
And Penny Hurst said, I love to hear the river water running. Yeah, it's close your eyes, put your feet in the right. And if you can brave the cold, put your feet right in the water. Just connect. There's a reason why it feels good when you hear it. You close your eyes, you lay back on your hands, you put your feet either in the water or on the ground, and you just feel that, and you hear that vibration change you. If it starts feeling good, you know it's working.
Right. Absolutely.
Because I've noticed that. I've done it before when I get done with the investigation and I roll over to a river or something. I'm like, oh, man, I'm tired. I just want to go home. Man, I'm dragging. And then I'll neutralize myself at the river. And about 10, 15 minutes into it, I'm like, yeah, that was nice. That was good. I felt pretty good. That lets you know that somebody changed the batteries.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey, Jennifer, how's it going? JC Thomas, how's it going? Man, we have already wound down an hour and 15 minutes of this almost already.
I know. Crazy. Does anybody have any questions? This can be an open forum too. This doesn't have to be limited to vibrations. If you guys have any paranormal questions whatsoever,
Yeah,
throw
whatsoever.
them in. If you guys want to know have any questions about stuff, because we don't mind answering any of it. We've been kind of starting with a subject, and then we kind of moved to a million different other subjects. But if there's something you want to know, by all means, like, just ask.
Yeah.
Do you ever find that so going back to, haunted locations, do you ever find that once you have entered a building, you've changed the vibration, that the happy spirits come out?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think once you go in and your energy is, it's going to sound really kind of crazy to some, but when you go in and you find your energy has been registered in the building, because I'm here to tell you, if you don't know it, they understand and feel your vibrational energy the minute you walk through the door. So if you are setting yourself up to come in and you're in a great mindset, your vibration level is good and high, that'll bring out the right people. And if your vibrational energy is low, we'll bring out the wrong people, because energy breeds energy, and they're attracted to the same energy level they're at.
Right.
And there are a lot of times I've seen and felt on readings of buildings I was in where I know there was good spirit energy over here not interacting, because this bad guy over here was interacting with somebody with a bad vibrational level in the group. Change that one dynamic and have that person go to the store and become your latte person. Hey, listen, why don't you just go grab some drinks and some snacks and come back? In that short term of changing the energy, you get a completely different read.
Right.
Okay.
We go back to the holy grail of paranormal movies, and I mean, one of my favorite movies in the entire world is Ghostbusters. Okay, it always has been and always will be. I've got them all. Know them word for word, pretty much. That being said, in Ghostbusters 2, the second movie, they had talked about, obviously it's fictional, but it's a great example. They go underground, they get the slime, they start screaming at the slime, and that starts affecting the slime and creating energy.
Oh yeah.
They've done scientific experiments in reality, in real life, where they took plants and they put beautiful music to one plant, and they yelled and screamed at another plant, and the plant didn't thrive with the negative energy at all. It did not grow. It did not do as nearly as well as the positive, loving affirmations that the other plants got on a daily basis. They were watered the same. They were in the same amount of light. They were in the same. There's many things that they encountered. I'm a firm believer that in the spiritual realm, that in itself happened. I think that Dan Aykroyd, when he wrote those movies, when he did those movies, he's an educated man, as we know. He's very much into the paranormal, but he wasn't stupid when he wrote that in. He wasn't stupid when he decided to add that, because that is, in a roundabout way, it really does happen. And a lot of people like to trigger entities and insult entities and to cause a reaction. And what they don't realize is they're taking that vibration home. And it may not affect them today, it may not affect them tomorrow, but it could affect their health in 2 years from now. So, going back to that calibration, it's important that respect goes a long way.
Yeah. Now, Judy said, I have an EVP from an investigation in June. I've played this for several people, and everyone seems to be hearing something different than me. What's up with that? Let me tell you what's up with that. It depends on how you hear the frequencies. There are some people out there, when being clairaudient, I listen to an EVP go, oh, it says, and I can just say exactly what it says. Then I've got to try to amplify it, clear it up, do this and that for somebody else to hear what I'm hearing. People hear things differently on depending upon how well they receive the audio frequency. Like there's actually several tests on the web that'll play the same thing, and you'll hear them 2 different ways. So that I would be to tell you, find a clairaudient friend and have them just kind of run over it. Don't tell them what it says, just have them run over it. That'd be the best thing I can tell you to do. And I just, to me, that's just a personal, that's a personal insurance, as we call it here in New York,
Yeah.
personal insurance.
Now, Judy, our body on a physical level too does a pareidolia effect in not only in a visual manner but an auditory manner as well, which means that our brains take over and try to make a logical sense of something. So we sometimes our brain will come to the conclusion before our consciousness can actually figure it out. And that's why Richard says go to a clairaudient, because they'll be able to they can feel what it's saying rather than kind of try to make out what it's saying. So you can also you can cheat with captions. So a lot of times, if you don't know if it's on Audible, you put the captions on, and sometimes the computer system software will be able to pick it up a little bit clearer.
Yeah, sometimes. But again, utilize your friendships, Jody.
Absolutely. You can always send it to
audio if you want to send me audio. I can listen to audio. Don't worry about it.
Exactly.
Now, Jennifer said, my daughter said the other day the devil is torturing her. Any suggestions? Wow. First off, we would need to kind of know, how old is your daughter? Number one, how does she know it's the devil? Number two, not doubting, just asking. Is there any evidence that you've been able to capture of this? Because the one thing I will tell you about Satan, demons, they don't waste their time. So, if you don't have if there's no evidence signs that it's, a demon or whatever, it might not be. It might just be a malevolent spirit. A malevolent spirit will do a lot of things similarly to what people today, because of Hollywood, will tell you is demonic. And it isn't. A scratch, for example, not demonic. Demons will not waste their time going boo in a corner. They won't. Nope. They will sap your life energy away until you're dead or dying, but they will not waste their time scratching you or waste their time staying in a corner to scare you. So I would think, honestly, if you wouldn't mind providing some of that information, we would love to try to help you. I definitely step in, as I know Katie does when there's children involved in something. So, hey, how old is she? How does she know it's the devil? And then is there any evidence to kind of back it up so we could take a look at it? We have no problem taking a look at it.
Absolutely. And the thing is about demonic entities and the devil, they don't ever relinquish their name. It's something that's, you have to kind of pry out of them, because that's a weakness. So if it's saying I'm the devil, chances are there's something else going on. So again, if you want to DM us, we can certainly talk about it more. If there's something that we can help you with, we will absolutely do so. Jen Ducker had said, when animals die, do they reincarnate as animals? The answer is yes. So in my experience, it's not always necessarily the same type of animal, but animal spirits have been assigned to us like guides have. So they usually reincarnate with us over and over and over again. So as a horse lover, I've had horses that have passed away. Does that mean in my next life I'm going to have horses? No, but that entity is going to, or that spiritual soul is will most likely come back to me. It's kind of, there's a tenement or an attachment there that occurs. So yes, to answer your question, they do come back as animals. Yeah, different vibration.
Now, Nikki Brown said, can a certain places literally trap energy or be an energy vacuum? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good question. Hell yes.
The energy. Some places attract energy, and then it depends on how it's managed from there, whether or not it stays or not. But if it's got food, it's got a resource, it's going to stay.
Right.
And that's kind of where a lot of places remain active, because there's a food source and there's a reason to stay. Kind of like a relative that you don't want to have at your house.
Right.
Just saying. Let me see. There's a couple there's a couple of things on here now. What herbs do we recommend? What herbs do we recommend to grow for healing and positive energy work? I have my own, but just want to see what others use.
Are we talking the legal kind? No, I'm kidding. Just FYI, it's legal in Canada. Joking. Well, it is, but all joking aside. Okay, so herbs. There's many different herbs, to be quite honest. It depends if you're cleansing, so different types of sage. So there's blue sage, white sage, buffalo sage. There's different types of sage you can use. Cinnamon, cedar, mugwort. What else do I use? Mint, spearmint. There's many different types of herbs that you can use to heighten your vibration to do cleansing principles. So a lot of times there's different teas. I mean, clover has its way of doing things. It's a blood purifier. Stinging nettle has, so not only do they have physical properties that help to heal, but they change your vibrational frequency. Chamomile tea, that's known to have a calming effect to you. Not only does it physically change the dynamics in your bloodstream to cause you to calm down, but also it changes your energy field. So that's chamomile. So, or chamomile has, potato. So there's many different things that you can use. I think in terms of cleansing, sage is your number one. If you can grow sage, then grow it. If you can use those types of herbs, then yes, for sure.
Now Mario said, with UAP, UFO, there's being more mainstream and is the sphere of the public awareness. Do you think this awareness has opened up more people confronting the paranormal world? Also, do you believe that the paranormal world and alien world interact? Like, are aliens aware of all that lost souls, angels, demons, and the like? Yeah, I would say yeah. I have seen things that investigations I can't call spiritual, beings that I know that are not spiritual. But I think everything interacts. I think also, too, you have to understand is that people have gotten a milliard of different ways now to be able to capture evidence and investigate different things. And, we just make it a lot easier to get to. So I'm not sure the awareness, anything other than the awareness of being able to capture the evidence has heightened the level of participation in the UFO, UAP world. I think everything just kind of blends. I think everything's paranormal, right? Everything is paranormal.
Yeah, and everything is energy. Common denominators. They're even finding, we're going to be getting some Bigfoot people on here, some cryptoid people on here soon. But even they're really discovering that these are energy beings. That it's energy, and the common denominator is that no matter what realm you're from, just because we physically can't see it doesn't mean there isn't realms here. They're all feeding off of energy. And energy is a vibration. So yes, do I think that they're aware of each other? Absolutely. I mean, I'm aware of a bird, but I don't go to a bird's nest for dinner. You know what I mean? That's a bad example, but I'm aware of it. It's aware of me. We know we coexist, but doesn't mean that we're friends. Or I mean, I don't go to the pasture and eat with my horse, right? But there's a relationship there. There's an awareness. So does that mean that we're all good and tight? No, but we are definitely aware of each other.
I wanted to reach out to Jennifer and pull her statement up because we're about ready to shut it down now almost. She said her daughter is 20. She had an old innocent man tell her that when she was younger that I needed to pray over her every single night. I believe she's possessed. She is like a wolf in sheep's clothing. I would tell you at this point, I don't know where you're located at, but I would probably reach out to a demonologist. I wouldn't say a psychic medium. I would say a demonologist, because all the psychic medium, Katie or I are going to be able to do is go, yeah, you got some issues, or you don't have some issues. Demonologists can resolve the majority of those issues, if not all.
We can point in the direction. We have some wonderful world-renowned demonologists that we work with. Yeah, we can definitely, depending on where you're located, we can try and get something set up for you if that's something that you need.
Yeah, I mean, and a couple of guys I can tell you right now, top of our head, Rich Valdez is one.
Jeremy Leonard.
Also,
Jeremy Leonard.
Jeremy Leonard's another one. James Bishop Long, or Bishop James Long is another one. He's been on
Bishop,
the show here.
Plato Angelicus. Yep.
Yeah. So there's a lot. So if you want to reach out to us offline, give us some kind of way of being able to contact you. We'll try to see if we can help you out. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, Chris Garnett said, I think I have had encounters with a succubus. How should I handle this? That's a great question. Richard, you want to take this?
No, you take this one.
Well,
I feel like I'm a little too young to be able to talk about this kind of stuff.
So really, really, really quickly, this is like a whole show. Succubus, incubus is a whole show.
Yeah.
You really got to identify if it's actually occurring or if you're having these dreams, because sometimes it depends on how they enter. So they could enter in your dream realm. They could make you feel uncomfortable in that regard. Or is this an entity, or is this something, an energy field coming onto you? So this, again, if you want to DM us, we'll try and kind of explain a little bit more because we're running out of time. But the first thing you have to do is acknowledge it. You have to put up an energy field and not allow it to come back. Okay. Is it attached to you because of your energy field, or is it something that you purchased, brought in, that can be causing this? Okay. Succubus, incubus is a whole nother kind of spiritual thing. It's not your basic paranormal ghost. So again, if you want to DM us, we can kind of talk about that. Yeah. So Pat says, hey, Katie and Richard. Hey, Pat, what are the chances of energy of some kind in your home that feels positive, but to you, your child feels it's negative and is scared and very new to this and confused? So in a nutshell, really quick, your child doesn't understand what's going on. So you have to remember, children are afraid of strangers, right? If a stranger walks up to them, they can fear because they don't know how to read the energy. It could also be that we'll switch it around where the entity is trying to confuse you and the child really knows what's going on. So this is where you get a psychic medium come in and try to read the room and see what's really happening, because the psychic medium can see through that, because it could be trying to trick you. One of the best ways for negative energy to become attached, and there's levels of attachments down to possession, is they will befriend a child in the house. And I've had this happen with my own children, where we had to do basically, I don't want to get into dynamics, but we had to get into cleansings with my children because they were physically, emotionally, and psychically attacked. In this scenario, you're dealing with a child that is not comfortable with it. So is it fear-based, or is it really something negative? Get a psychic medium in there, see what they can do, have a walkabout, and they'll be able to find out from there what's happening. Okay, that's the best advice I can give you.
Guys, we're running out of time here. We basically run out of time.
Okay, Chris. So we can discuss this. Yeah. So Chris, sorry, if you want to DM me, we can discuss it. Pat, if you want to DM me, we can try to discuss it. Or Richard, whoever you're comfortable with. If we can kind of get that sorted. I just want to close it off. You're welcome.
Yeah, and Jennifer, if you need to reach out to us afterwards, like I said, and deliver us some contact information for us trying to help you with your daughter, we'd be more than happy to. But guys, we're going to call it a night. We appreciate everyone's participation with us. We love you all for it, and we hope to see you next week.
Take care.
See you guys later.
Bye.